You know, if you guys are seeing that okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Look good? All right, there we go. So hey everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much for coming to the Scholar Studio presentations. My name is Vassilissa Semouchkina and I'm a Master of Design candidate. And for my thesis, I'm looking into advancing visual critique culture within STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and math, laboratories in order to better help scientists more effectively communicate their work. So when I say critique, I'm referring to analyzing a design and giving feedback on whether it meets its objectives. So not simply judging the design. So if you're not too engrossed in the STEM side of academia, you may wonder what's wrong with researchers' visual designs. Well, there's the fact that many scientific visualizations, which are supposed to quickly and succinctly communicate important research work, often look like this, minus the pigs in space theme, of course. And while these may seem like pretty innocent problems, they actually have some pretty sinister consequences. So not only are scientists not communicating well with their peers, but issues with scientific communication also impact the way that the general public understands and even trusts science. So to summarize, scientists need to learn better visual design skills, not only to better communicate their work amongst each other, but to make design a priority in STEM overall. That being said, I want to point out that the world of scientific communication already exists, and that most scientists recognize that they need help. So there are a number of resources out there that help train scientists to better communicate their work. Many universities offer short-term workshops or classes that teach researchers basic design skills, such as those run by Melissa Clarkson at UW and Annalee Joplin at Rice University. There are also online tools that scientists can use, such as BioRender, which allows researchers to use templates and choose from thousands of pre-designed icons to make their posters and graphics. Some universities even have in-house design teams that can take on faculty requests. So this is actually a snippet of a graphic I designed while working in that very position as a senior designer and scientific communication specialist at Michigan Technological University. So that brings us to the question, you know, if these resources exist, why aren't we seeing like these huge, impressive results? And in looking at researcher feedback from some of UW's design workshops, they listed a variety of reasons, including lack of time, not prioritizing design as much as content, etc. In essence, the existing resources are often short-term and inadequate. So how might we begin working on these problems? I'm proposing an intervention at the laboratory level. So intervening at the lab level has great potential. Most scientists are involved in research labs, and labs foster highly collaborative environments. They oversee the structure of participants' work, meet frequently, and already lay the groundwork for and induce critique. But this feedback cycle is seldom focused specifically on communication, unfortunately. So in conducting my research towards, theorizing on an effective intervention, I began to observe various labs across campus. And in order to document how labs currently operate and how they critique in any form is conducted. So I'm currently observing 4 labs, including Susie Pun's Bio-Inspired Materials Lab, Micah Vercue's Imaging and Therapy Ultrasound Technology Lab, and Brandy Kosser's Inorganic Chemistry Lab, as well as Abigail Swan's Ecoclimate Lab. I've also been sitting in on introductory level design focused courses, which help me see how students are first introduced to and taught visual critique. So to gain more background knowledge of the current state of visual critique and culture in STEM, I've also been conducting interviews with researchers who are affiliated with or practice scientific communication as well. So from these initial lab observations and interviews, I've noticed that researchers are, well, smart. More often than not, they know that they need help. And even without training, like most researchers create graphics that still convey a decent amount of information to a certain extent. However, there are also pain points. So researchers seem to know when something's off, but often lack the visual knowledge to talk about it. They aren't sure how to create the results they want to see in their projects and admit that visual thinking is often put on the back burner. To quote scientific communicator and actor Alan Alda, the consensus seems to be, we don't have time for that. We have too much science to teach. So in considering this initial data, as well as reading extensive literature, I'm beginning to consider the intervention itself. This is still at an early stage, as I want this to be better built off of the research and the observations that I'm conducting. So early ideas include a series of inculcating intra-lab workshops focused around visual communication and critique, in combination with some kind of physical asset, such as a toolkit that would consist of materials like critique method cards, posters, and visual communication cheat sheets. These would help a lab's principal investigator and continuing grad students to preserve, promote, and continue the knowledge gained through the workshops. So both before and after these workshops, in which students will be encouraged to bring in a graphic or a figure that they'd like to make better, I'm going to survey the students to measure if their knowledge and skills have improved and assess to what extent. So my hope is with these new approaches towards inducing better visual critique culture in STEM labs, we will see a gradual improvement in the quality and communicative ability of scientific visuals. And on that note, thank you very much for coming and listening. And if any of you are interested in the work or would like to participate in the research, maybe get your lab involved, I would absolutely love to talk more. Please contact me again at vsemouch@uw.edu. And thank you again. Cool.